don't you know? Of course you know that. Kevin Acee will join us at 3:30. So loaded first hour.
I know everything.
Will Fleming, Kevin Acee. I mentioned yesterday briefly, San Diego State is having this unbelievable run of success in the recruiting trail. San Diego State football, Paul Garrison will join us coming up at 4:30. So after a day off, the Padres are in Boston playing good baseball, over 500. I just looked this up. We'll talk to Will in about 8 minutes or so. The Red Sox are also playing really well. They've been a little bit like the Padres, where they haven't been great at home, but they've been very good on the road. Of course, this game is at Fenway Park, but the Red Sox have won 8 of 10 coming into today. I think they've won 11 of 14 or 10 of 13 coming into this. So, it's a challenge. And then we saw earlier today, I know you tweeted about it, Joe Musgrove transferred to the 60-day IL, which honestly, when you look at the timing of it and the amount of time he's been on the IL, 60 doesn't take you beyond anything crazy. I think it takes you into August as opposed to July. But that's becoming more and more real by the day. They're playing good baseball, Jim, but the injuries are piling up, and Joe Musgrove isn't coming back anytime soon for San Diego.
It's not surprising. It's not something I feel like people should be overly worried about, just because I think that was the timetable that was expected. All right. Oh, you okay there?
Kind of. Yeah, I am now.
So it's not surprising that he went on the 60-day IL. If they announced his season was over, then that's like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
But the timetable matches up for the 60 days of when he's expected to be back. And honestly, like, I'm cool with it, because give him as much time as possible. If he's going to return this season, or at least try to return this season, don't rush it like you did before. Give him time. Let him get right. Whatever problems he's dealing with, try to fix those problems. Like they mentioned, he's trying to tweak his
delivery.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's going to take some time. I know he's been throwing the ball like on the outfield, but this is not a surprise to me. I don't think anybody should be overly worried about it as of right now. I mean, the injury is definitely very, very concerning. Don't get me wrong. But I think them putting him on the 60-day IL isn't like oh no, his season's over.
No, I guess it speaks to this. What we've been talking about for a week, it just furthers this point that in the short term now, there's a lot of good going on. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games. It's very easy to say this is as well as they've played all year long. You could go back to the postseason of 2022. Short term, all is good, but it's like, do you got to pay up at some point is the question. Are you going to have to pay up because Tatis ain't coming back anytime soon, because Bogarts is still out, because Musgrove isn't coming back until at least August, because we still haven't seen you Darvish, because Luis Ariz has been nicked up? Like, is there going to be a period of time where that all adds up or not, because they don't play a lot of games over the next month because of off days in the All-Star break? Trade deadline's coming. AJ Preller conceivably or theoretically will improve his team between now and the start of August. Like, can they dodge this bullet of injuries for the next month?
I think yes. That's what I think.
Okay.
Long-term, TBD. But in the short term, I think they can. Why I say that is you have so many off days in July. You have guys that are out there playing through some type of little ouchie. Not a no-no, but just a little ouchie.
Right.
And I do feel like those off days are going to help them so much with Manny, with Profar, the pitching staff. Because, we keep banging this home. You got 3 guys in this rotation right now, Vasquez, King, and Waldron, who currently 2 of the 3 have pitched the most innings they've ever pitched in the big leagues as of this moment. And one of them, in Michael King, is about to do that like after his next start potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So the off days I think will help. And with that, I think they can withstand the loss of Tatis, the loss of Bogarts, the loss of Joe, and the loss of Darvish. And oh, by the way, they're playing really good baseball right now without those guys. And there's a lot of players on this team that are playing really good baseball that are contributing for this team in a big way to helping them win baseball games at this moment.
Right. Fair. All fair. But what we know about baseball is, like, can you do it shorthanded over a long period of time? Because one thing that is done in the Padres previously is a lack of depth. We've seen it in front of our own eyes. Like 2021, they were playing really well, 67 and 49. The wheels completely fell off. Why? Because they didn't have starting pitching. Even a year ago, like they're thin. The margin was thin last year, even with all their star power. They win 82 games. Can they really do it now? Thin, yet still win at a high level. I'm with you. I think the off days are beneficial. I think they played 39 games in 41 days. They've played the most games in baseball. It's not even close. So they get the benefit on the other side of it. You're not that far away. Like I'm buying what you're selling is my point, but there's a little birdie on one of my shoulders is like you're falling for it. They have a ton of games left, and what you're asking them to do isn't realistic considering the injuries that they're dealing with. That's that little birdie, even though I'm kind of with you, like, off days, they've played more than half their games, they'll figure it out.
If this was August 2nd, I would have a completely different tone.
If it was August 2nd, they were dealing with all these injuries, we're past the trade deadline, past the off days.
And you told me that Tatis potentially is out for the next 45 days.
I gotcha. Yep.
Xander's out for the next maybe month. Right. Joe's done for the year.
IL.
Darvish maybe back in a couple weeks.
Right.
Then I'm like, okay, we just passed the trade deadline. There's no help coming. There's no avenue for legitimate help to be on the way. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we know Preller, like he's going to make a move.
No, it'd have multiple
moves. Yep. And it's going to help even more if this team continues to play good baseball through July. Like we said, if they can hopefully, knock on wood, take this hot stretch that they've put together 8 of the last 9, take it on the road with them and finish off a very successful, I guess, first half or very successful end of the first half.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the road trip to start the second half of the season is going to be vital.
Yeah.
It's
daunting.
So crucial that they don't fall on their face on that road trip.
Mm-hmm.
But they get through that. Best case scenario, 5, 6, 7 games up at the break. They're already 3 up right now. It's going to give Preller all of the, clear sight path to make moves to help this team instead of sitting here going back and forth, wondering, should this team trade all of it, their prospects for help? Should this team not do that? Should they sell? Should they stand pat? I'm not saying that I think Preller needs to go out and trade away all the top prospects. I'm just telling you, get ready because that could happen with this team.
And I also wonder, like, if you're Preller, it's almost like you kind of owe it to the group that has dealt with adversity well to help them out. Like, this isn't some underperforming star-laden team. This is actually a team that might be exceeding expectations that's overcoming injuries to some of their stars. Therefore, don't you feel as if you should help bolster them down the stretch? Plus, we haven't even entertained in the first 10 minutes of the show that A.J. Preller needs to get to the postseason. Let's be honest. It would be a severe disappointment if they don't get to the postseason, and we don't know what it would mean potentially for Preller and others if this team misses out in 2024. So we're going to go to Boston in a moment. We're going to catch up with Will Fleming, radio announcer for the Boston Red Sox. We're an hour out from Red Sox and Padres game 1 of the series. Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 3:30, our Padres insider from Fenway Park as well. But we do have Will Fleming with us as the Padres and Red Sox get set for a 3-game series from Fenway for the first time, I think, since 2013. So we'll appreciate it as always. Jon Jim, San Diego Sports 760. What's gotten into the Red Sox here recently? I know they're now, 6-7 games up on 500. They're playing really well, 8-10 in their last 10, 8-2 in their last 10, 10-3 in their last 13. What's been playing out that's allowed them to play well recently? Thanks for hopping on, man.
Well, first of all, great to be with you guys again. I'm through my box of Kleenex because I've just had reunions with Bogey and with Donnie O, and it's all happening here at Fenway Park. But I think that it's a pretty simple explanation. The Red Sox young players are maturing right now, and they play a really exciting, fun brand. They steal a ton of bases. This guy Jarren Duran has become a borderline superstar in the game. Connor Wong, who they got in the best trade, has become one of the best hitting catchers in the game. Tanner Houck is a bona fide ace, and they got these young guys running all over the place, and that seems kind of slump-proof. They are fun to watch. I think they'll test the Padres here, and I've been looking forward to this series for a long time, and the Padres come in playing well too, so should be a lot of fun.
I know he's not playing in this series, but I'm sure they're going to have some type of, video montage for Xander. What do you expect the, reception to be for Xander, who was a vital part of that team for 2 World Series?
Oh, it'll be overwhelming. I think it'll be the warmest, biggest we've had. I mean, Mookie was his own thing, right? But what I think people who don't live in Boston, who weren't here for that time, probably don't understand is that while Mookie was beloved, he was is a generational talent, and really about the best homegrown player in Red Sox history since Ted Williams. Xander held a different place in the heart of this city. And part of that was due to the fact that he, like Mo Vaughn and others, was the guy who was always in front of his locker, always answering the difficult questions from the press when times were good, when they were bad. You know, he burst onto the scene as a teenager in 2013, got one big hit after another in that World Series run in his first year. And he was absolutely and is beloved here in Boston. And I know they're going to put a fabulous video together for him. I can tell you guys that when he hit the home run here against Garrett Cole in 2021 in that wild card game, people who've been coming here for 50 years said it's the loudest they've ever heard Fenway Park. And I think that was a combination of Yankees and playoff drought, but the fact that it was Bogey was a big part of it. And it brought back so much for me, guys, seeing him here today, because you all get the great benefit of being around him. And I know that it has not gone the way that the Padres hoped it would yet. And I think it's unreasonable to expect anybody to live up to, an almost $300 million contract. But just the man, the leader, and frankly, the friend to all of us, just seeing him back here and remembering all of those times and frankly, just missing the guy. I think it will be a prolonged standing ovation. The one thing that's a little different, like you guys remember when Pujols went back to St. Louis for the first time with the Angels, Yadier Molina was like his best friend. And every time Pujols came up, he stood in front of the plate for like 3 minutes and let the fans welcome him. That's different here, right? Like Devers is the only guy left from that 18 championship team. He has relationships with guys like Duran and Wong, but I would think this will be a time when, Alex Cora is up on the top step, encouraging the fans as they put that video up. I think it'll be emotional. I think it'll be a prolonged, huge ovation for Xander.
It's so interesting hearing you talk about Xander like that, because frankly, covering Xander for the last year and a half, I probably think the tone on Xander here is the complete opposite. What would you tell Padres fans that are like, there's a lot that are kind of done with Xander already, and it's not even fully done with year two. What would you say to Padres fans about Xander going forward here?
Well, I think that's stupid if they're done with him after 2 years. I mean, I think he's been injured a lot. I know it just hasn't worked in the way that it did. And look, that's the pitfalls in these long-term contracts for guys going into their 30s. I mean, there's a reason that the modern GM is really reluctant to do that. I think the bitterness in Boston a little bit is because they could have gotten it done earlier and for much less. And then I think for all parties involved, it would have been a better situation because, again, nobody turning 30 can probably live up to that kind of a contract with all the expectations that come with it. I think that there's still a lot of time for it to be at least a productive player and deal. And I know, again, you got to flush from your memory and mind the numbers, the contract dollars. I think he can be a really productive player. I think he'll be a leader in that group because I think that's something they're still kind of searching for. I bet you if you ask Merrill about it, he loves Xander, and he's taught him how to be a big leaguer and those kinds of things, more so than even somebody like Machado or Tatis. So I think give it time. If he gets right and Padres fans can get to know him, then I think they'll fall in love with it. But I mean, it is sort of like the country song, right? Like, she got the best of me, so you get the rest of me.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's going to happen, and that's just not going to change in San Diego.
Will Fleming with us right now, radio play-by-play announcer for the Boston Red Sox. Padres and Red Sox coming up at 4:10 Pacific. So I just looked this up, Will. Since the start of 2022, the Red Sox are exactly 500 at home. They're under 500 this year at 19-21. As you know, they're good on the road at 24-16. The Padres have had some of this dynamic play out as well over the last couple of years. Any explanation for recent struggles by the Red Sox, specifically at home?
It's been totally crazy. So the Red Sox had the game of the year 4 days ago when the Blue Jays came here on Monday. And it was the first time, I think, in 10 series that they'd won the opener of a homestand at Fenway Park.
Wow.
And,
Whoa.
and I think they're like 2 for their last 20 in that category. It's just been crazy. I mean, the simple explanation, other than just randomness, is that they haven't been very good. I mean, they have stripped down the club in so many ways, and they've just kind of, without calling it a rebuild, that's what it's been since that playoff run in 2021. They have not had consistent enough starting pitching until this year, although that's changing and stabilizing a little bit here. But it's been wild. They come home and they just fall flat, and it's oftentimes they don't hit in the opening game coming back here to Fenway. So it's one of those crazy things. Like I do think, fellas, that one thing happened. The Red Sox were right at 500 for the 17th time. The 17th time in the first 60 games of the season, they were 500. And they did that because they won a Sunday game at the White Sox, the worst team in baseball. They hit late home runs. They clawed it out, and they came home 500 again. And they had the Phillies and the Yankees back to back, the 2 best teams in baseball, for 3 each. And they lost to Zach Wheeler in the opener, and you thought, when are they ever going to get back to 500? Well, sure enough, they won the next 2 from the Phillies, and then they took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. And I think for a young team, they decided, you know what, we can hang with the best. And I think they really escalated their energy level for those series against New York and Philadelphia. And since then, they've kind of kept it up. And I think they did that against the Blue Jays, and I really do expect them to bring it again tonight against the Padres.
That's so funny because it sounds almost exactly like the Padres.
Does, yeah.
Like the Padres this year have been around 500 for the entire season, and they finally just started getting hot. And now it seems like they're putting on a little bit of a hot streak here. But, when you look at the Red Sox and the Padres, and they feel very similar this year. You were here in San Diego last year. What's the you've seen from last year's team and then this year's Padres team? I know you haven't seen them play yet, but just the differences last year where they had Soto and all the superstars, and this year they don't have Soto and they have kind of a bunch of role players, and Jurickson Profar is like their best hitter.
Profar's been awesome, and I know the Red Sox game plan is to drill him in the first inning. That worked so well for the Nats.
Yeah, it worked perfectly.
I think Merrill and young players really help. I do. I think we're seeing that with this Red Sox team, because I think if you have a real veteran group, which we saw with the Red Sox even the last few years, when things don't go well, the clubhouse turns pretty quickly. When management does not add at the trade deadline, which is not a problem in San Diego, but it has been here, guys get a little bit ticked off, and it kind of deteriorated last year here for that reason. That has not been happening here with this Red Sox team. And my sense of it is that, maybe without the burden of Soto, there's just a little lowering of expectations. Like, you're not as much of a super team. Like, you only have 7 guys making $300 million instead of 8. So it makes it a little bit less stressful. I really think that it's just also, there's just a randomness to it. And maybe the voice in the clubhouse, maybe Mike Schultz was a better voice for this group than Bob Melvin. I think people downplay that human element of what the manager can do to get guys going. And maybe it was time for a new voice, and he's gotten going in a different direction.
Will, real quick before you go, I mean, you mentioned earlier Don Orsillo back in Boston, of course, called games for the Red Sox on TV in NESN for a number of years. It was controversial when he was let go. I know there was the tribute they had for his longtime broadcast partner, right? And he wasn't included in that a couple of years ago. Has he called a game back at Fenway? Do you know the answer to that nationally, or is this his first time back at Fenway here today?
I'll have to ask him that. I had a long chat with him. He had done Red Sox games. Like, I remember several times seeing him on the road, like in Atlanta a couple times. I know he's done some for Turner on the road, but I'm not sure whether he's been here, actually. And it was amazing and unsurprising being down on the field with him. I mean, every single 30 seconds, somebody yelled down, "Donnie, we love you, we miss you." And, it's something I think that all of us who do this aspire to, where and he's done it again in San Diego. He and Mud are a great partnership, and I think Mud is like the great fit for him because he wants to do it the way that Donnie does. And so they have endeared themselves to San Diego in the same way that he did here. And, I tend to view it in the same way that he does, which is you want people at home watching and listening to think that they're talking to a friend, and you're in their living rooms and on their porches and in their cars and on the beach with them for every day for 6 months. And nobody did it better in terms of making and forging a connection with fans. And you have to remember too, he was the voice of a lot of winning years, and a lot of great players and a lot of great moments. And he and Jerry had incredible chemistry. And so there is still a soft part, big time in the hearts of Red Sox fans for Donnie. People love having Dave around too. It's a hard thing when you lose a broadcaster that's been around that long. It's just it's something. It's the reason any of us do this. You want to have that connection with people, and God knows he had it in spades here. So I think that the tributes will continue in the stands, on poster boards. Really, he said he got mobbed walking around town yesterday, just walking around the streets of Boston.
Wow.
And I know he felt really good about that too. So same with Xander. They both said they just were so surprised by how many people stopped them on the streets and told them how much their time here meant to them. And I think that's a really cool thing. And I personally have had a lot of fun seeing them both.
Same thing happened to me for San Diego State, UConn in the Sweet 16, Will. I couldn't go anywhere.
I know it always does.
I couldn't go anywhere. It was very hard.
Yeah,
I put a hoodie on the whole time.
Yeah.
Will, thank you. We'll see you for the World Series. All right.
We will. I'll bring my kombucha and the flat billed cap. We'll be good to go.
Deal.
Perfect.
Thanks, Will. Have a good call tonight. We appreciate it, man.
Sure.
All right, Will Fleming, radio voice for the Boston Red Sox. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Will join us next. All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. We're going to go back to Fenway Park, catch up on the latest in front of Padres Red Sox Game 1.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Patrol Real Estate Team. Padres and Red Sox, 3-game series starting today at Fenway Park in Boston. 4:10 first pitch there. And Padres also announced today they placed Tom Cosgrove on the 15-day IL and put Joe Musgrove on the 60-day IL. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Patrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, back to Fenway Park. We just caught up with Will Fleming, radio voice of the Boston Red Sox. Now our Padres insider, Kevin Acee, about 40 minutes out from Red Sox Padres Game 1 in Boston. Kevin, we always appreciate it. Obviously, we saw the news of the transactions today. Let's just start with Musgrove. And is there anything really significant here? I mean, it's already been a good amount of time. We were already forecasting maybe at least weeks away. Him going on the 60-day IL, has that really changed anything with Joe or not?
Doesn't change a thing.
Okay.
Early August was probably, late July, possibly, but and now he's eligible to come off on July 26th. And so this changes nothing. I mean, if anything, you can get some confirmation, it could have been Xander, but they're hopeful that Xander can be back kind of latest, maybe that Cleveland series right after the All-Star break. So yeah, nothing to that.
And what's the latest with Yu Darvish?
He's throwing. He's in San Diego and throwing. They remain optimistic. I think they might get some more tests or whatever. Maybe have another doctor look at the images and just to be sure. Because look, it's an elbow thing that came up. He got the elbow thing last year. He's 37. It just might be a thing where we're seeing them be careful with Yu Darvish for the rest of this $100 million.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He's joining us from Fenway Park, where the Red Sox and Padres will get underway with their series in about 40 minutes. There was another move today. Tom Cosgrove to the IL. What's the injury there? And then Austin Davis, right? Austin Davis coming up. He was pitching well in AAA El Paso. So what's the latest with Musgrove, and what are the expectations for Austin Davis in the bullpen?
Well, I expected Musgrove to go down anyway, so maybe
Gotcha.
I'm just a little, dubious or less actively inclined to check on this elbow injury. But they say that there's an issue in there, and get him checked out, and we'll see what comes of that. But I expected that they were going to be replacing him anyway. And so, look, Austin Davis has kind of remade himself, did not pitch in the majors last year, only pitched part of the season, even in affiliated ball, has changed some things up. And you know what? Gosh, when you see a guy who was closing for a team in the Pacific Coast League and he had a 1.80 ERA over his past 20 innings, you go, okay, yeah, time to see this guy at the major league level. So that's it. He's going to be in Musgrove's role. Which, is maybe if you're up 4 in the sixth and that's, or down 4 in the, seventh or eighth, and that's where he starts out, and then you see what he's got.
The series they had versus the Nationals, Kevin, they were already playing pretty good baseball, and then they kind of accentuated it here by having the sweep versus the Nationals. But it wasn't just the sweep. There was all the moments that happened in that series where it felt different, like the moments on Monday night that led into Tuesday, that led into Wednesday, finishing off the sweep. Do you think that this series, for how they were playing this year, and all the things that transpired, was kind of needed, and it's going to propel them? Like, it's obviously yet to be determined, but like, doesn't it feel like this series is like a propelling series for the rest of the year potentially?
You're setting me up, man. You're setting me up. It could. And I think it was needed. That I will absolutely say that was like the kind of series that you want to have if you're them, to be, a team that has been, and I believe it, I've been putting it forward, that it was playing better than their record, right? But at some point, and I think we're at that point, it needed to be, no, the record needs to match how you're playing, and so you need to win some games. And so to me, the most important thing was that they've won 7 of 8 for the first time all season. I don't even know if they're playing better. They're winning. And what I would say is they would prefer, no matter what they tell you publicly, they would prefer that it wasn't walk-offs, that it wasn't comebacks all the time. It wasn't tied or trailing in the 7th and then winning. They would prefer to win more games like they did on Wednesday. Obviously, 5-run 9th inning, besides, they would rather be more in control. And so I think it's important. All of it's important, though I do want to stress, exciting baseball is not always good baseball.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He's joining us from Boston. Red Sox and Padres getting underway in about 35 minutes. So Xander Bogaerts returning. Obviously, beloved figure there, multiple World Series. It hasn't transpired here the way it worked out there. But despite that, what will tonight be like? What type of reception would you expect for Bogaerts, who obviously isn't playing, but is in Boston?
I think it'll be big. I think there's going to be 2 of them. You got Don Orsillo coming back too. He's beloved, and probably even more. He grew even more beloved as he left, and they saw what they were missing, and so that's like a big deal, right? But yeah, Xander Bogaerts was a team leader. That was a big thing with obviously there was a big gathering with the local media, wanted to get to him, and every TV station was here, all the writers. There's 30 people. It's rare that you'll see, but that's who Xander Bogaerts was here. And then they talked to him about passing that leadership on to Devers, and he was a big deal here. It's kind of funny that funny is just not funny. It's kind of just interesting that it has not translated in San Diego yet. Obviously, hey, there's a long time left for.
Tradition continues. A tradition unlike any other.
Kevin Acee's, it's not his phone, it's the app.
It's the app.
Yeah. Maybe we should maybe.
What's the streak? We're on a 56-game hitting streak.
Yeah, better than Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, seriously, it's like an all-time record.
I feel like we should just.
All right.
He's back.
Oh,
hey, Kevin.
I was just going to say, maybe it's because we're not both downtown in San Diego, right? What in the world?
Yeah. I don't know.
So Xander, he's a big deal here, and so I look forward to that moment. I look forward to him. He was really bummed from the start. The guy was shooting to be back here. How he said he's going to be back in a month, and obviously he wanted to be back. He said this has been really hard, but one of those reasons was that he wanted to play here. But hey, he gets to sit in the dugout and enjoy the moment.
I don't think anybody here envisions this team all of a sudden just going in the tank. So with about a month and a couple of weeks left until the deadline here, do you see Preller kind of ramping it up here if this team starts playing well and really being like uber aggressive? I know he was already going to make moves potentially regardless, but like the aggressiveness of Preller, could that ramp up depending on how they play, if they play really well leading up to the deadline?
Yeah, he might have made moves already if based on how you hear that he's going after guys. But whether it was that they wanted to wait or that other teams are like, hey, we need to wait and see what these guys are worth here. Generally moves aren't made this early. So, but yeah, he's going to be. I think the only thing that maybe would have changed that is if they did go in the tank, and I would almost say it's almost too late for that now. Like we know who they are, right? And so they are going to be, and we know what the National League is, right? So they're going to be in contention enough to make their team better. Now with the injuries, you just wonder, okay, wait, you got starting pitching you need, you got relief, you got bullpen you need, you got maybe a right fielder you need. Now, I'm not saying Fernando's not coming back at all. I'm just saying like, there's one thing, you wait for Xander, you wait for Fernando to come back, and that's great and all, but you need to stay in it until then. So it's just there seem to be a lot of needs if you're really trying to make yourself better. Though I think it's the more well-rounded team offensively, and so the priorities remain starting pitching and bullpen.
Kevin, you spoke to a very frustrated Manny Machado in Philadelphia. They had lost 5 straight. He was very outspoken, clearly frustrated, said, I'll do everything I need to, including like blowing out my elbow again to get this right. And from that point on, he's really played brilliant baseball. And he was even playing well beforehand without power. And you had talked to us about it. You said they thought he was turning a corner. Mm-hmm. Has that corner now been turned based on what we've seen over the last, week or 10 days?
It looks like it. And I can't even remember what his results were on Wednesday, but I remember going, I think like all 4 or 3 of the 4 times he put the ball in play were hard hit, and like a couple the other way, or at least in the gap. And I was like, yeah. And I kind of wonder, now Manny is one of those players, and it's why he was on, like, I believe at least a borderline and probably was on a Hall of Fame track, is one of those players who, when he goes hot, it's hot. And we haven't seen that yet. So, like, I'm going to hold him to Manny Machado standards, where we're talking about like a month, 2 months at like 1,000 OPS, which he's done several times in his career. We haven't seen that yet, but certainly we've seen the Manny that they needed to have for a little bit of time now, and need to see it more, and obviously need to see it especially more now, right? Like, they're down to the big one. And we talked about the big 4 last year, the big 3 this year, and Manny's it right now. And you got, hey, look, I think Bryce Johnson, man, he plays right into what Mike Schill likes to do, right? Like the bunts and all that. But you're replacing Toddy with Bryce Johnson. Right. You need your big guy to step up.
Well, hopefully he has the same July as he did last year when the team went 15-10 and he had 1,000+ OPS.
That's the Manny, right?
That's the Manny. Final one from me, Kevin, just real quick. Is Nabil Crismatt back with this organization?
He is, and but it's a minor league deal, so we'll see what that track is. It's interesting, if you play it out, like Johnny Brito come back as a starter. Was Nabil, now look, got to go down and pitch. He's been released by 2 organizations, or I guess the Dodgers let him become a free agent. I don't know. But, he's been released by 2 organizations this year. The Rangers didn't even call him up after he spent a month at Round Rock. So we'll see. I sure hope so. He's a wonderful human. Loved in the clubhouse, loved by fans. He's a great guy. I sure hope so. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe like Profar. It's like you got to be in San Diego to play your best baseball. Maybe Crismatt's the same way as
something in the
Profar.
Water here.
Maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle with him in the second half. Kevin, always appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend in Massachusetts, and we'll do it again next week.
Right on. Talk to you later.
All right, we'll react to our conversation with Kevin. Plus, the team that trades for Juan Soto wins the trade, right? We said it repeatedly. Much more on that on the other side. Plus, we'll have Paul Garrison join us at 4:30. We'll talk some San Diego State football recruiting with him coming up next hour. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, we'll react to our conversation with our Padres insider, Kevin Acee. Plus, the team that traded for Juan Soto won the trade, right? Or did they? That's next. Developing news: 2 giant pandas have arrived from China.
Wait, the breaking news sounder.
2 giant pandas from China have arrived at the San Diego Zoo. Yun Quan and maybe Xin Bao.
Oh, good names.
So they're the first new pandas to arrive in the U.S. in 21 years. Now they got to get acclimated to San Diego. They got to watch like Padres.tv. They got to learn about the Padres. But they will be available to the public to be seen in the zoo soon, the next few weeks.
You gave me and Jim crap about like leaving the show last week. Power Ranger.
I would leave the show.
You're practically like out the door to go see these.
Can I be absolutely that's stupid, man. That's a good way to get to the world. But let me just say this. I have a plan to see the pandas. You know the lines are crazy, and it's San Diego Zoo. Everyone sees the pandas. Here's my plan. The first time the weather is horrific in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's I am racing to the zoo. By San Diego standards,
they'll be
rain
inside.
or wind or 54.
I said they'll probably put them inside.
I'll go inside with them.
I don't think it
First
works
time
like
it's
that.
a bad weather day, I'm racing to San Diego. Second opens, and I'm like bringing my like hands off. Yeah, post them on Instagram. I'd like to get this guest. Actually, I'd like to get them exposed.
I want to see you to bring them.
I don't think they travel with the pandas, dude. It's
Precious
It's
animals.
so cute.
But like it's a big deal that the zoo is getting new
Yeah, you
pandas.
think?
I know it's massive.
There's only right
It's
now
national news.
there's like 2 pandas in the entire country right now. And maybe now they've been doubled up because of San Diego. I think it's a very big deal. When you think of San Diego tourism, I guarantee you a big reason why people visit is because of those pandas. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Pandas are a big like tourism vehicle. I'm convinced of it. I might be wrong, but I'm convinced of it. All right. So remember the Padres traded for Juan Soto? Do you remember this? 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
Oh, that's what.
Okay, and everyone was excited, and the sky was this limit, and everyone's thinking about the World Series. They had that. They went to the LCS, but then of course they trade him away. But when they traded for him, we're like, whatever. Who cares about Robert Hassel, and who cares about Mackenzie Gore and C.J. Abrams and Jarlin Susana and Luke Voigt?
Who cares about
But James Wood.
Yeah, that's the
it's being reported now. He's being called up Monday, right? You know,
perfect, just in time for the series versus the
Padres in a couple of weeks. Who reported this, by the way, is a guest we just had on last week, Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio. Anyway, so James Wood's coming up. James Wood has put up historically good minor league numbers. I'm not kidding. Over a 1,000 OPS in the International League. He's only 21 years of age. He missed a month due to a hamstring. He's now fully healthy. He's going to appear in the big leagues. Abrams is already up, having a good year. We talked about that.
Very good year.
Gore's been solid, not spectacular.
Yeah.
Hassel, Susanna, we'll see. But James Wood, who's been listed like 1,000 OPS player in the minor leagues, whether it was a Padres farmhand or now a Nats farmhand, is going to make his big league debut next week. And now you're really going to feel the ramifications of trading away some of that talent.
That's always been the player that if he performs and he does what he's doing at the level, that's always been the one that's unless Gore turned into a ace, right?
True.
I think that would have been the one that would give you position players turn out to be all-stars. That sucks. It hurts more to give up pitchers that turn into aces. Cy Young. Sure. That hurts way worse. So if Gore ends up turning into that will hurt the most as far as the players coming back. The players coming away from anything with the deal. But the James Wood one was the guy that the Padres were most reluctant to give up to get Juan Soto. Right. And it was James Wood being added to the deal that pushed the deal over the edge to get Soto and to get Josh Bell. Without James Wood in the deal, that deal does not happen.
No doubt. You're right.
And I'm sure they maybe could have found a way if they didn't have not Mackenzie Gore,
Susanna or
Robert Hassel. Like I'm sure they probably could have found a way.
Maybe, yeah.
But that the Nationals needed 3 specific players. They needed Mackenzie Gore, they needed C.J. Abrams, and they needed James Wood, and James Wood was the linchpin of that deal.
I mean, 51 homers in the minors for a 21-year-old in his career is a huge number. His career OPS in the minors is 937. He had a 1,036 OPS, on base plus slugging, in Rochester, in the International League, where it's cold in the first half of the year. So we'll see him firsthand. Like you said, the Padres are going to be in D.C. right after the All-Star break. So some of his first games in the big leagues, his first 15 games, some of those are going to be against the Padres. We just saw what the Padres did to the Nats. But that's going to be, like you've talked about a lot, that road trip where you got Baltimore, Cleveland, and Washington is so significant. 9 games out of the break. And now you're seeing James Wood, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. But you have a feeling, and again, to get a player as good as Soto, it's going to hurt. There's no reason to think James Wood isn't going to be really good. I mean, based on everything we know about him and what he's done in the minor leagues, there's no reason to think this guy's not going to produce in the major leagues. Simple as that.
Simple as that. I feel like you're going to be seeing a lot of James Wood, and it's going to suck, Padres fans, to see that. But you know what will make it better? If the Padres continue to win.
Exactly. I think he's the number 3 prospect in baseball per Baseball America upon this call-up right now to the major leagues. All right, Paul Garrison, East Village Times, will talk to us about San Diego State football and its recruiting successes right now on the recruiting trail at 4:30. We have the wrap on the other side. Plus, in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to New Kids on the Block, July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and it's next.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team, Padres and Red Sox. Start a 3-game series at Fenway Park, 4:10 first pitch. Other news with the Padres, Joe Musgrove goes on the 60-day IL. Tom Cosgrove goes on the 10-day IL. Moving over to the NBA draft, Jalen Ledee did not get drafted last night, but today he signed a contract to go to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Jon and Jim. A sweep of the Nats as the fellas 3 games over 500 heading into the weekend series with the Red Sox. What's going to happen at Fenway, and how will the younger James change the Lakers with dear old dad still on the roster?
He's not a person that has ever taken shortcuts or expected or been entitled about basketball opportunities. He's worked for everything that he's gotten, including being selected today at 55.
We kick off the weekend right now with Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Our buddy Paul Garrison from the East Village Times will join us at 4:30. San Diego State and Sean Lewis and his staff winning a lot on the recruiting trail right now. So we'll catch up with Paul Garrison. He's been writing about it at 4:30. Also this hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block. That's July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We're here until 6 on this Friday. Padres will get a series underway with the Red Sox coming up in a handful of moments.
Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus. Again, it's the annual pilgrimage to talk about Apple TV Plus.
How are we going to turn that on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the conversation.
I'm working on it.
Are you okay?
Oh,
Brent's
Brent,
okay.
nice. Okay. We like that.
That's amazing. Yes, if Brent could find a way to take it from that computer and put it up on that monitor, then everyone's a winner in the studio.
Everybody's a winner just in general in
Right.
life.
I actually opened the Apple TV app today. Okay. And it said, get Apple TV Plus and get all this fun stuff like baseball for $9.99 a month. One game. I mean, $9.99.
I'm sorry. There is
Zero
no chance in hell that I would be getting the Apple TV Plus MLB package unless the Padres were playing like half of their games on it.
Yeah, like $9.99 a month is steep. I'm paying $19.99 a month to watch every Padres game.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, we're missing some, but like you're getting $25 a month for $19.99, then I'm getting one a month for $9.99. That's not a good trade-off.
Nope, not happening.
So I'm like, well, maybe Jim's got it. Or maybe Brent has it, or maybe iHeart has it.
Is there like a free trial?
I think there might be a 7-day trial for Apple TV, but Apple TV Plus is $9.99. You can cancel anytime, but it's $9.99. And also, you know what happens? You sign up, you forget to cancel.
Oh, I've done that recently.
Oh, yeah.
Where I did something I signed up for. I paid $1.50 for it, which I probably shouldn't have done in the first place. And I forgot to end my trial. And all of a sudden, I get a text message.
Man.
It's like from my bank. It says, oh, look at that.
Look at you, Brent. Is this Apple TV?
We like that.
Wow.
Let's go. Anyway, yeah, I've done that before where I recently just got a text message from my bank and they were like, did you mean to have this charge of $50 go to your go to your card? And I'm like, oh, crap. But I didn't say crap.
Dude, Brent, that's like unbelievable.
That quality.
I mean, yeah, I mean, again, we like the Apple TV
Well,
Plus.
I told you yesterday, I already have Apple TV Plus. I got like a
quality
free trial like 3 years ago, and it just
Right.
never ended.
I like how she's wearing the new Apple Air
Pods or whatever
over
ears
headphones.
But the quality is great.
It's like 4K crispy quality.
It's the only 4K because
amazing.
MLB doesn't do 4K. I don't think they even offer it.
Dude, if every game was on Apple TV, amazing. I'd have the package. It looks great. It's very crisp. So I recommend it. I just don't want to pay the $9.99.
No,
that's the part.
Yeah,
that's the part I don't
Who does
like.
the Apple TV Plus games, by the way? Benintendi?
First of all, you're talking about Benetti.
Oh, Benetti. Sorry,
Who's Benintendi?
The former
The
Red Sox
Kansas City
outfielder.
Royal.
No, but
and-
what are you talking about? Andrew
Sorry.
Benintendi?
But
Yes.
sorry, my bad.
No, it's not Jason Benetti.
It
Who, by
used
the way,
to be Heidi Watney used to do the
sidelines. But
from
here's the
MLB
thing.
the show.
I think they have 2 crews. But speaking of Jason Benetti, I'm going to see him tomorrow in Anaheim.
Oh, must be
'Cause
nice.
The Tigers are in town.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at you.
Gonna go in the press box on field.
Oh, it's just no big deal.
No
It's
biggie.
fine. Oh, it's all
yeah.
right. Look at you.
Yeah.
Just a big shot.
Yeah, no biggie.
Yeah, walking
Well,
around.
Angels, Tigers, everyone's
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah, I'm the voice of the Aztecs. So respect
Please,
me.
I need space.
Yeah.
I need
If you want to
space.
talk to me, talk to my agent first.
But I'm going to see Benintendi tomorrow,
And
whose
Benetti.
name is Jason Benetti
And Benetti.
in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to this. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Dude, they're doing Dairy Queen ads. This thing is amazing.
Do you think Minnesota is a good fit for Jaden Ledee?
By the way, it's so refreshing to watch a Padres broadcast with actual commercials on it instead of
that sound we keep
the
hearing.
most annoying sound on the face of the earth. For
And they show the
Padres
same
TV.
12 highlights. Like
Oh my
Christian
God.
Yelich's 150th home run. I'm like, okay.
Literally can't stand it.
You don't
Right.
like the moments of Zen?
No.
Dude, actually, I prefer the
Of
moment.
them showing,
Yeah.
putting the stripe around the
I'm
diamond.
fine with that. It's the
Yeah.
highlights that I've seen 100 times.
Oh gosh, it's like
Enough.
nails on a
Yeah.
chalkboard.
Right.
I think that yes, good spot for Jaden Ledee because their offense is built around two big men in Gobert and
Cat.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't view Jaden Ledee as a rim protector. I don't view him as a big time defensive player, but I do view him as a guy that can shoot the ball from 15 feet, 20 feet. And who knows, maybe he stretches his game out to maybe the 3-point line, or at least maybe like a corner three or the top of the key three, where he can, you know, if he gets some looks, he can knock a couple threes down and make the defense have to go guard him out there, because the offense for Minnesota is based around Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and then you have Rudy Gobert in the middle of the lane. So I think it's a pretty good spot for him just because of the style that they play.
Yeah, you know, I saw a write-up about the fit, to your point, and someone said that in terms of teams where it would make sense, like you said, like Ledee would make sense for the T-Wolves. So this isn't a two-way deal, and this isn't whatever the exhibit is, Exhibit 10, Exhibit 11, I forget. There aren't guarantees, to the best of my knowledge. He's playing Summer League for them, but there may be an opportunity based on their needs and their roster for him. So hopefully, from Jaden's perspective, put together a good Summer League and earn an opportunity to maybe get some type of deal to stick with the T-Wolves, because it does seem like a good fit. It's a good team. We said he's got to end up on a good team where he contributes immediately.
Mhm.
And Minnesota is a good team. Hopefully there is a need and there's a way for him to stick.
And by the way, if he's not a guy that they put on the NBA roster,
Mm-hmm.
G League, I mean, go get down there. I'm not saying he needs to like fully develop because he's already like a man,
Right.
but go down there, show your worth against other NBA players, and hopefully the T-Wolves or another NBA team is like, oh, there's some value there.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Next question.
Which player that the Padres traded away in the Juan Soto deal will have the best career?
I'll say, I mean, without seeing one at bat in the big level, it's hard to say James Wood.
Right.
But I'll say James Wood, just because he has, I feel like, the most upside of all the players that were traded in the Juan Soto deal. I think I think that he's going to be the guy that Padres fans are going to be like, ooh, that sucks, you know, because he could turn into Yordan Alvarez 2.0.
I probably would have gone there, but since you went there, I guess I'll bet on Mackenzie Gore. I was thinking maybe he was a little younger. He's 25, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have a dominant 10-year career still in the big leagues. He has not been a dominant pitcher in the big leagues. He's had a fine year. He's got a 3.8 in 16 starts, but his whip is high. Abrams? I'll say Abrams.
Abrams has been really
I think he
good.
could be a starter for 10 years in the big leagues and potentially a multi-time all-star. So I'll say Abrams, but I'm with you. I think Wood, in terms of upside, has the highest upside.
He might be the Nationals all-star this year.
Could be, absolutely.
He needs to work on his base running awareness,
Oh
though.
my gosh.
Yeah, not
That
great.
was awful
Like
this
3
weekend.
times this weekend.
Not
It's
great.
tough.
Not great.
All right, let's get to the next question.
Will Bronny ever make an all-star team
In
in the NBA?
the NBA.
Not in Lithuania in 6 years.
I'm going to say yes, only because
His
fans
dad will get him in.
will vote the hell out of Bronny. Now, again, it's different in the NBA, So I actually take that back. No, he won't, because in the NBA, you have to go through 3 different processes. You go through fan voting, which counts for a certain percentage.
Right.
You go through, I think, media voting, and then you go through player voting. So with that, no. But it is, on a side note for Bronny, it is so easy to tell, John, who is like under the watchful eye of Clutch when on these shows like First Take and Get Up and whatever other shows there are.
Oh, you're saying between the defenders and the people that will fight against it? Yeah.
If you see a national media person defending the hell out of this, they're doing it because they need to have ties to Clutch and LeBron. If you do not see a media member defending this, they don't have any ties to LeBron and Clutch. Like today, I saw Chris Broussard and I saw Nick Wright adamantly defending this and saying it was ridiculous how you couldn't be happy for a father and son to be playing together in the NBA. It's like, whoa. That's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, I'll bet on Bronny. This is crazy because, again, it's not anti-Bronny. I'm just thinking this is going to hurt his development, but I have no idea what it'll look like as a 23-year-old. The guy could be very good in 4 years. So I'll bet on his name and I'll bet on Bronny long-term to somehow get there. And that may be a reach, but no, in the short term, I stand by what we said, which is it's an overreach, obviously, and it doesn't happen if it's not LeBron James' son.
It's a Nepo baby type of situation.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate for Bronny. It sucks for him.
I just didn't like the whole way it went down, and the whole thing yesterday of, oh, well, if anyone drafts us, I'm going to go play in Australia. Right, and it's just like, dude, you're not in a position to be making demands like that.
I agree. Next question.
Is this a must-win for the Padres?
Must-win series or game?
All of it.
Every game?
Series. Every game from here on out.
Let's just say, is this Red Sox Padres series on June 28th a must-win series?
No, it's not a must-win series. No,
because they've played really well.
But here's the deal.
No, but
don't throw away
all of it.
What you've built up over the last week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean potentially worst case scenario, getting swept in Boston or having a 2-4 road trip. 2-4 road trip wouldn't be the worst thing, but you come home one game over 500 when it's like you were on a roll. What the hell happened?
Mm-hmm.
So no, not a must-win series for the Padres, but to keep this thing going here and making sure that you finish off the first half strong, please don't trip up. Don't trip up here.
Yeah, I thought Will Fleming said something really interesting, radio voice of the Red Sox, saying like, it's unbelievable how the Red Sox have not performed at home. And he said, well, listen, they haven't been as good since the postseason of 2021, but like they oftentimes come off a road trip and drop game one of a homestand. They're under 500 at home this year. They're a 500 team at Fenway since the start of 2022. Think about that. Wow. They're a 500 team on the nose at Fenway since the start of 2022. So my point is this. It feels like a series with the way the Padres are playing that is winnable. And the Padres have played well against good teams. Boston's now a good team. They're 6 games over 500. They're 8-2 in their last 10, or 10-3 in their last 13. So Boston absolutely is a good team, but the Padres have been good against good. So we'll see if that continues this weekend or not.
I swear, John, I didn't even realize that Boston was 43-37.
Yeah, and it's all happened recently.
I know.
They're 8-2 in their last 10, like the Padres.
I just, in the back of my mind, not paying too much attention to Boston because, like, why would I?
Yeah, and you have the Yankees and the Orioles who've been really good.
And by the way, Yankees have been horrible of late.
Recently, they've been losing the Mets. You're right.
Yeah,
they've come back to earth.
They've lost 9 of 11, 4 straight.
But they're still, 15 over?
Something like
that.
And by the way, I think I saw some people in New York are wanting to trade or get rid of Soto.
No, that's shocker. Don't sign him, you're saying?
Yeah, don't sign Soto. Oh, shocker. What was I saying? I don't even remember.
You didn't realize the Red Sox were as good as they are right now.
I didn't realize the Red Sox were as good as they are. Yeah. And so, from that standpoint, it's a fascinating series because hearing Will Fleming talk about the Red Sox journey to this moment of their season, I'm like, are you talking about the Red Sox or the Padres?
Right. They've both gotten here similarly. Slower starts around
entire year and then get hot of late to where they could finish the first half, and both fan bases are probably saying to themselves, I like where we're at. More so the Padres, because I think the Padres are in a better situation in the National League than the Red Sox in the American League. But still, I mean,
to your point, both teams 10 days ago, 500. Padres a couple days ago, they're 8-2 in their last 10 to get 6 games over 500. You make a really good point. In the American League, Boston's no better off than San Diego is in the National League, if that makes sense. As in Boston's going to have, there's no 82 wins getting in the American League. So Boston's going to have to be good from here on out potentially to get to the postseason. And they're not winning the division, not with the Yankees and the Orioles. They're going to have to get in as a wild card. Also, we mentioned this yesterday. Padres have not been in Boston since 2013. By the way, Manny hasn't been in Boston forever because he's been on the Padres for the last 6 years.
and we know
The history there.
Troya, him, pretty much. I mean, for his career,
He might
in
not get
Boston.
cheered.
I don't think he'll get cheered. When's the last time he was in Boston?
With Baltimore. So 7 seasons ago, right? It would have been, I mean, unless it was Dodgers second half randomly. After there's no way that's random. You're talking 7 seasons ago. Wow. At some point. First half of 7 years ago, 20, whatever year that would have been, 18, 17.
Ooh, man.
Yeah, so it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued by, I don't know, did Xander has anyone tweeted about any type of ovation or ceremony or recognition for Xander Bogaerts? I hadn't seen it.
Marty did tweet out something. Hasn't tweeted out like a ovation or whatever.
Yeah.
But where is it here?
Because I thought that might have been a big to-do here today.
She said a lot of Xander Bogaerts fans in his Fenway return, although he won't return for a while longer.
Oh, like it's not really his return.
Yeah, there was a fan there that has a sign that says 10 seasons, 4-time All-Star, 5 times Silver Slugger, most games as shortstop, 2 times World Champ, Red Sox for life.
Isn't it amazing what perception means, or like the lenses that you see someone through? If you're a Red Sox fan, you see this guy as like one of the all-time greats, which is amazing because it's been a very successful organization.
Right.
If you're a Padres fan, and again, you haven't won World Series like Boston, you see Xander Bogaerts as a massive disappointment, unfortunately.
Oh, huge disappointment. And that's why it was so surprising, not really surprising, but when you hear Will Fleming talk so highly of Xander, and how much he means to Boston and the Red Sox franchise and just Will Fleming himself. I'm like, look, I know Xander is a stand-up guy, and I know that he is always in front of his locker, and we do appreciate that. I do appreciate his honesty and how he always tells it like it is, but it's not that at all here. At all. I would say most of the fan base doesn't really have a like good, I guess, feeling towards Xander. It's just like, okay, Xander, you know. And it's probably because one, they've been losing here since he's been here, and two, he hasn't like really performed or come up in big clutch moments or had big moments with this team, and now he's injured.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. Now, again, I think that to your point, I think off field and with the media, there's a likability factor. I've respected what Xander has said in his time in a Padres uniform for the last, whatever it is, 18 months. Like, I don't have an issue with that. He seems like a good leader in a clubhouse. The problem is it hasn't been backed up on the field. And he's been dealing with injuries. I mean, since day one, he's been dealing with injuries. Like, since day one as a Padre, there's been a wrist, and now there's been a shoulder. And there have been hot stretches. Last April, really good. Everyone was encouraged. Last September, really good. They were out of it. And then this year has been a bit of a lost cause. And like we've been saying, I'm going to keep preaching this. Take your time getting back. And that's not personal. I just want to see it. I want to see Xander Bogaerts like Red Sox fans saw Xander Bogaerts. That's all I want to see.
Yeah, because his personality is definitely a personality that is so easy to fall in love with. But for whatever reason right now, Padres fans don't view Xander at all like Red Sox fans do. Rightfully so. Xander won the series. You win a World Series here in San Diego, you love it. Don't care what you do. You win a World Series, you contribute in a way. You're a huge part of that team. Bro, you're never buying a drink or food in this town ever again. But again, it just has not worked out for the first year and a half plus of Xander's time in San Diego. And I don't know. There's a lot of time.
On that deal, there's time, but he's not getting younger.
Yeah, I'm looking into like San Francisco, Barry Zito, when he signed a 7-year massive deal with the Giants.
Yeah.
He was hated there because he didn't perform.
Right.
He was,
expectations of the contract.
Right. Cy Young with the A's, and everyone's like, what the hell? Where's that player?
Right.
And it was just a complete S show for his entire career there. At the time, he was like the highest pitcher in the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really bad relationship between him and fans. And then they win the World Series, and he performs, and he is the game one starter, and he helps them, overcome these 3-1 deficits in the postseason.
And everything changes.
And guess what? Now in San Francisco, he's beloved.
That's a good point.
Everything that he did the previous however many years where he sucked, all walked away with one good postseason run. Oh, by the way, World Series.
All right, a reminder, you can hit us up on the Talkback mic. Just open up the free iHeartRadio app, listen to San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little red microphone icon next to the play button to leave a 30-second talkback. All right, on the other side, we will catch up with Paul Garrison from the East Village Times. San Diego State and Sean Lewis and his staff are on quite a recruiting run. The latest from Paul Garrison on the other side. Plus, later this hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block, July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Stay with us, Paul Garrison from the East Village Times. He will join us next. Talk some San Diego State football and the success right now on the recruiting trail under Sean Lewis with Paul Garrison of the East Village Times next.
This update is brought to you by the Jim Patrol Real Estate Team. Padres Red Sox in Boston underway. Game 1 of their 3-game series. Scoreless, top of the second inning there. In NBA news, Jalen D did not get drafted, but he did sign today with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Patrol has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, back with you, Jon and Jim. San Diego Sports 760 here until 6 p.m. We do have tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater that we'll give away later this hour. We always appreciate Paul Garrison, who is a great resource for Aztec fans across all sports, football, basketball, whatever. He's been writing and covering Sean Lewis and his staff's success right now on the recruiting trail, and he's back with us right now on Jon and Jim. So, Paul, if you wouldn't mind, help me out with what's going on. It's been such a unbelievable run for Sean Lewis. It's hard to keep track of it all. 15 plus verbal commits maybe within the last week. What's the backstory here to land all these verbals right now? And am I right? Is this 15 type commits that have rolled in the last handful of days?
Yeah, it is right there. I think one of the interesting parts of any new coaching staff is how they choose to go about all of their different processes, and recruiting is no different. And so they had a really big recruiting week that began with 5 prospects midweek and then 15 over the weekend. And one of those recruits that came in on the weekend was running back Quade Carr from Servite High School, who had already committed. A really, really dynamic running back at playing for one of the best schools in Southern California, and he had already committed. And then the other 14 had not gone through a process with all kinds of not only the kids that were there, people who were at their skills camps. They have just added a host of players, and it's just something I think that for San Diego State fans is pretty impressive.
What are some of the bigger names that have verbally committed here at San Diego State?
Some of the bigger names I think are the local guys. Jet Thomas is an offensive tackle from Loyola High School. He is someone who went on that visit over the weekend, and he needed a few days to make sure that San Diego State was the place that he wanted to be. He was planning to enroll early, and he is looking to try to come in and kind of buck the trend of being able to start right away. Really cool from Mount Miguel, another local guy who, just really long, athletic player. He's somebody who's really exciting. Jaden Williams is from Mission Viejo. He's a defensive end who they won a state title. He was the D2 state player of the year. He had 18 sacks. One of those guys that just kind of was just fortunate that San Diego State is in his backyard. And there's other guys incredibly intriguing as a prospect. Another big part of this is their dedication.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Paul, as you watch these commitments roll in, we know they're verbal. We know with college athletics, things can change, obviously, whether it's wherever you are. But is there a thread? Is there a common thread among the players that they're bringing in? Like, is this a type of player overall that they're bringing in for this class of 25?
I think there is. And, as we're talking about trying to learn the personalities of these decisions, when we talk about all of the transfers that can happen inside of college athletics and NIL and all of the newness that goes on, we benefit because we get to kind of paint all of the different possibilities. But Sean Lewis and his staff, they actually have to put their best foot forward and try to address it in real time before having the benefit of seeing how it all plays out. And so I think what you can see from the guys how they did this is I think they really wanted to try to find people who really wanted to be athletes. The kids, as I've interviewed them and talked to them, since their commitments, they love the coaching staff. They all believe in their respective position coaches as level. 5 offensive linemen, and talking and Milton just somebody that on the track record in their engagement in the film study that we did on that visit, they really believe that and you just go through the list. They said that over and over again. What they're trying to do in the common thread after the question. I think they are finding people who can stay in San Diego for the long term. They want to see aspects, want to develop and get better, and putting their best foot forward to make sure that the class of 2025 is long haul.
How do you think that this program and Sean Lewis is navigating the NIL space right now for the recruits and signings and all that?
I think one of the things about it is I like the way that Sean Lewis went about talking about it is the reality, pretending that it doesn't exist, or pretending that San Diego State is its strongest selling point. But I think they're doing everything that they can, and I think ultimately, it's going to be what happens in the fall. If we're going to see it really kind of go to the next level. I mean, San Diego, if they as fans, if they can go to exciting product, Snapdragon is cool. I definitely can see an uptick in NIL. But, it's definitely something that is not a advantage. But I do think that what they are looking to do is kind of follow the model. If you are a player at San Diego State and you prove yourself to be productive on the field, there's NIL opportunities for those players. So other schools that are maybe a little bit wealthier in this regard, might spread that to everybody, whereas in San Diego State, what they do is that give it to the people that they are the ones who are most productive and kind of the older guys.
Paul Garrison with us right now, East Village Times, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So, Paul, you communicate with some of the verbal commits. in some of your reporting and writing. What are the players saying about San Diego State, Sean Lewis, and his staff?
I mean, it's really interesting. We obviously had a lot of interaction with the previous staff, the Brady Hope and all of that. I think that like the day-to-day task of what they're doing is not substantially different. But I think the way in which they go about it, to a person, every recruit talks about the energy that Sean Lewis brings to what he does, and they want to be around that energy. Believe energy is what they need in order to be able to develop. They talk about how sometimes he's about business, he's very serious, but he also doesn't have a good time with it. They talked about it before with the position coaches. They're really excited to be able to learn from the staff that Sean Lewis has brought in. Just rave reviews, to be honest. They really, on the visits, on the unofficial visits, the times the coaching staff has went to their high schools, have all been really positive interactions. And, I think that's the reason why so many recruits and such a bit of time.
For a new coach and completely building an entirely new roster, the expectations, they have to be what they are, which is got to give this time. And so from that standpoint, coming into this season and going through this season, regardless of what happens, don't you feel like the fan base, and you're never going to tell that fan how to fan, but the realistic expectations shouldn't be they have to win now, right? It should be different than that, especially with how much newness is here with this program.
I absolutely agree with you. And I'm not in the business of telling people how they should view or think about the team. But I think fairness, how new everything is, I think that they wanted to keep a lot of last year's players, especially those at the top of the depth chart, and with them. And I think that, while they got a number of them, lots of transfers that they hopefully will get around. And as a result of that, the roster is split. And I think the number of recruits that they're bringing in, I think they're starting to get to follow through with what their values is, which is to build it from high school, right? But as everyone looks to 2024, I absolutely agree with you that the expectation shouldn't be through the roof. That if they get both, I think it could be a wildly successful year. But at the same time, I will say that when you look around the teams that are on their schedule, a lot of those teams also have a lot of turnover on their rosters too. And I think in a lot of ways, the work that's taking place right now will determine what happens in the fall, because so many of these teams are having to replace key pieces or a real big significant portion of their roster. San Diego State is doing it a little bit more than all the rest of them, but there's still enough turnover that I think with good coaching and the players being able to put it into practice, I think they could beat the expectations that rightfully are probably about that 500 mark and then that going to a bowl game.
Is it scary if I told you that I'm now a Mountain West Conference media voter and that I voted for the preseason awards?
Yeah, what would you think of that,
weekend?
Paul?
What would you think of that?
It's about time.
Well, I mean, thanks. I appreciate that part. John said, wait, are you what?
I mean,
he had a little more different.
I watched it, guys. Did he send the email to the wrong person? Did he think you or me? I thought, I think it's great, man.
Yeah, it should be Paul.
You're sitting next to the person who's one of the foremost experts.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't really pick his brain, but I did take my time on it. I didn't just slap on just random names and just say, screw it. I took my time. I respected the process.
Yeah, and then chose a punter for like player of the year.
Yeah.
Just
because I picked San Diego State to finish first in the conference.
Nah.
I mean,
Paul, we appreciate it, man. We know it's busy. It's exciting, I think, for Aztec fans. It really is. And really quick before you go, it's somewhat atypical, right? To have this many verbals by San Diego State's perspective or recent history. They wouldn't have this many verbals by now, typically, right?
Correct. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Paul, appreciate it. We'll do it again soon. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Paul Garrison from the East Village Times. Again, he's a great resource for Aztec football and men's basketball fans. We have a giveaway for you on the other side. An update from Fenway Park as well, but we'll give away a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater next on Jon and Jim.
The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast
All right, update for Fenway Park on the other side. Plus, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll do that next. Hi, Jon and Jim back with you Friday afternoon. We do have New Kids on the Block tickets to give away July 7th. That's coming up just over a week away. We'll give this away. Let's say the next 8 minutes. July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, New Kids on the Block. The update from Fenway Park in Boston. Padres and Red Sox are underway. This is the first of a three-game series. We're scoreless to the bottom of the third inning. If you're wondering, well, hold on, the Red Sox and the Padres right now, where? It's on Apple TV Plus, and it's a very good watch if you have. The caveat is if you have Apple TV Plus. I'm kind of enamored by the broadcast. I love the math on the like on the video. It's like 19% chance of a hit because all of a sudden you're behind 0-1, or you're ahead 1-0. It's like 29% chance of a hit. They got a lot of numbers in there, but as a numbers guy, I kind of like it.
Besides the 4K, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I'm okay with like not listening to the broadcast.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I like
cool.
watching it. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I don't know who's calling it. You're right. Yeah.
But the actual, and we say this every time the Padres have been on Apple TV Plus over the last couple of years, it is by far the most enjoyable viewing broadcast.
It's great
that you have in all of baseball.
I would remember we talked. I mean, now we're going way back to like, okay, whatever. It's over. It's spilled milk. Pac-12 TV deal. They were coming down to Apple TV, right? If the Pac-12 was going to stay together, they had an offer from Apple, remember?
Yep.
The truth be told, if that did come to fruition, it would have been pretty darn cool to see if it looked anything like what they've done for Major League Baseball. It's a crisp, quality broadcast. Would have been different, not watching on ESPN or CBS, but it would have been a very high-quality TV video presentation. Speaking of high-quality TV video presentation, I got to give credit to the NHL. Coming off a 7-game Stanley Cup, which was watched by 10 million plus for Game 7, they have their draft tonight, like the NBA just had their draft. It's at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and visually, it's super appealing. Super appealing. They're inside the Sphere. They're showing the pics on the outside of that globe. They're coming off the 7-game series in the Stanley Cup. I said to you off air, I'm like, I feel like the NHL is kind of having a moment right now. They're having some, again, the 7th game was seen by more than 10 million people. Now you followed up with the draft and all the visuals from Las Vegas. Kind of a cool scene.
I didn't think that the NHL would completely blow the NBA out of the water when it comes to their drafts.
Good point.
Not even close. I mean, the production of what we were watching of the NHL draft at the Sphere in Las Vegas, a million times better than whatever the hell the NBA was doing the last couple of days.
Dude, yesterday, the NBA, and I don't care what the reason is, but I turned my phone on at 1 p.m. Pacific, and they started the second round of the NBA draft. That should never, ever happen.
And they were doing just a basic NBA countdown studio show.
They were in a studio, you're right, for the final 28 picks of the draft. There's only 58 total picks. It's the National Basketball Association, and your draft is on at 1 in the afternoon, even 4 o'clock Eastern. That's inexcusable.
The NBA, man. I don't know if they've truly thought about how much of a drop off the league as far as a viewing standpoint is going to have once LeBron leaves, once Steph leaves.
These aging veterans.
Once KD leaves.
No, you're right.
Like, they're going to be in for a very rude awakening.
You're saying, seriously, like Doncic, Tatum, these players aren't carrying the torch like LeBron, KD, Steph is next.
I don't.
Anthony Edwards.
I don't see it. I just don't. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not good players. They're great players. They're borderline going to be Hall of Fame players potentially. Like, they're all stars. I just think that the era that LeBron has created, matching with the super team era and then the Steph and KD Warriors, like the last 15 years, John, the number one talking points in the NBA. I mean, every single day it was LeBron, and then it was Steph and KD, and then the Warriors and the Cavs. Like,
right, kind of since Kobe, you've had all this Steph, KD, LeBron talk.
Well, even like going back further than that to the early 2000s, when actually the late 90s, you had Shaq,
Kobe.
Shoot, I mean, if you want to go to like the whole NBA here,
Jordan.
80s, you had, Larry and Magic.
Yeah. To Jordan.
Shaq, Kobe. To LeBron. To super teams.
Steph, KD.
To Steph and KD. To now what? What's next?
Anthony Edwards, the next Michael Jordan, we heard every night.
That doesn't do it, man.
On the T-Wolves that were on national TV 3 times this year.
No, that's not going to do it.
What do you got, Brent?
I think that's kind of, I brought this up during the playoffs. It was kind of a good thing that they didn't have LeBron and a lot of these older guys in the later rounds of the playoffs, because it gave, national media exposure to a lot of newer players and pretty much basically the future of the league. So the casual fan that, missed the 3 times the Timberwolves are on actual TV this year, they actually got to see, Anthony Edwards and some of these younger players play. And I think that was good.
Well, the problem was it was also the worst rated NBA finals in like a decade.
But they say that every year.
I know.
though.
So other than COVID, you're right, though. You have to go back to 08 or 09. It was not a very compelling series.
No.
5 games. None of them came back to the
and
final
even when
possession.
they have had, like, I go back to the Bucks Sun series. That was a good series. They were entertaining games. But at the time, guess what? Lowest rated NBA finals to that date.
Right.
So the ratings don't necessarily equate. It did this year because the series sucked. But, normally the ratings don't automatically equate bad series. It just means people didn't watch it.
I just think that when you look at the ratings from the 2015 to 2019,
Sure, Cavs and Warriors and intriguing.
people wanted to watch LeBron and Steph.
Yeah.
And it got redundant, but like the NBA,
But people were watching.
People weren't complaining.
Yeah.
They wanted that. They wanted the super teams and the
It's like you can't have too much Tiger Woods.
No, you can have more Tiger Woods.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the other thing I've kind of been wondering too is, everyone knows how much ESPN kisses LeBron's ass, every chance they get. When he retires, are they going to elevate someone else up to their ass kissery level to where, they're just going to hype him up and, it's going to be, we always joke about how's it going to affect LeBron's legacy? Are they going to swap that into, how's it going to affect Luka's legacy or, something like that to kind of elevate a new LeBron for them?
All right, caller 7, you've got a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call right now. Great giveaway, 877-767-4760. Call right now. 2 free tickets to New Kids on the Block, July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. Call right now. You've got 2 free tickets. If you're caller 7, we'll kick off hour 3 with the Padres making a series of moves today, including one involving Joe Musgrove. What's the impact moving forward? Hour 3 of Jon and Jim is next. All right, this update brought to you by me and Jon and Jim. They are scoreless halfway through, actually not halfway home, but actually midway through the fourth inning. Scoreless at Fenway, the Red Sox, and the Padres game, one of a 3-game series. What else do you have in your update other than Padres Red Sox?
Jaden Ledee signed with the Minnesota
Ledee is signed with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Keyshawn Johnson yesterday agreeing to a 2-way deal with the Miami Heat. Anything else you got in there?
Nope, that's it. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. We are with you until 6 p.m. We are keeping track of Padres Red Sox underway in their series, scoreless, heading to the bottom of the fourth inning. We have Jim's back page still ahead. We're with you for this final hour on this Friday. We mentioned it earlier when we started the show that if you saw it on paper today, Joe Musgrove going to the 60-day IL, you're like, oh, man. That's not what we needed to hear. And then you do the math on it. You're like, actually, well, it's already been on the IL for a good amount of time. And then we had Kevin Acee on earlier. It's like, well, he's still eligible to come off like July 26th. And, well, he wasn't supposed to come back until late July. So I think the note alone of Musgrove going on the 60-day IL isn't the cause for alarm. The cause for alarm is he's been on the IL 3 times since last year.
That's the cause.
That's a concern, but him going on the 60-day doesn't change the prognosis or the potential timeline. He still could be back, Jim, and paying dividends, but we don't know if that's the case just because whether he's on the 60-day IL or not, we don't know what's going to come of Musgrove in the second half of this year.
I'm almost like kind of relieved because there is still a worry that he would have come back too soon. And maybe when he does come back, or if he does come back, it doesn't matter anyway. And he has to have the, surgery. But we heard from him and he said, look, last time that I came back, that was way too soon. I tried. And truthfully, someone in an organization needs to put their foot down on these injuries and be like, look, no, like I know you want to be back ASAP, but I can't give you the green light here. Like there has to be at least someone in the organization. Oh, I don't know, the strength and conditioning coach or like a doctor where they say, I know you probably feel good and I know you want to return, but what you're dealing with needs more time. And there's no one in the organization to tell anybody that.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting now is like these timelines, like Musgrove. Is it late July and then Bogarts? Is it mid-July and then Darvish? Is it within the next handful of days and then you have all these injuries and then you're wondering, like, what is the impact? What is the varying degree of their impact on the Padres moving forward? To this point, they've overcome it. They're playing well. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games. They're overcoming things. But at some point, like, you got to pay up is the, analogy or whatever, what you would think with baseball. And I don't know. And again, we've talked about the upcoming trade deadline. We had Kevin on earlier today. He said, listen, he's going to be aggressive. He always is aggressive, and they've played well. And we also said earlier, and Kevin said earlier, that like what we're seeing here, I mean, why would you expect anything drastic to occur? It's not like we're expecting them to lose 10 of 11, knock on wood.
Right. Yeah.
And even if they did, you know what I mean? Does that really change the end goal, which is make the postseason in the National League? So we know who they are, and now they got to go add to this team, and I'm sure that's how AJ Preller sees it.
By the way, when we say we know who they are, this is who they are. If they lose 5 games in a row here,
that's who they are.
Guess what? They'll win 5 straight right back after that because they've done it every single time this year.
Right.
When they've had a bad stretch, they followed it up right away with a good stretch. That's who they are. So that's why I'm pretty confident that they're not going into the tank here, that they're not going to let these injuries affect them so much. Like that will affect this team for sure. No doubt about it. You can't just lose those 4 guys and have it not affect you. But I don't think it's going to affect you to the point of falling off a cliff like the 2021 team did.
Yeah, see, that's where I think they're different. That they're overcoming some things that maybe other teams wouldn't overcome.
Yeah.
But they are overcoming things, and that's where I'm confident. I mean, there's been some times in the first half of the year, Jim, where you
question the hell out of this team.
Yeah, you kind of like, I mean, they've lost 5 consecutive games, not one time or 2 times, 3 times in half a year. That's a decent amount of times, yet they're 3 games over 500.
How many times have been swept in a series? 4?
Good question. 3 times by basically last place teams.
Mets, Angels, Rockies,
Phillies. Swept them at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been rocky waters.
3 5-game losing streak. 4 sweeps each other. Game losing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure.
But
you look up, they're good. I mean, good enough. They're good. They're over 500. And they're playing good baseball, and they've overcome those losing streaks. Again, a year ago, are they overcoming it? No. 2021, are they overcoming it? No. 2019, was that Manny's first year?
Yeah.
Overcoming nothing.
They quit.
Fighting it. When did they fight in the dugout? 2021 or 2019?
2021.
I mean, that was
August.
That was unbelievable.
Or September.
That's when the wheels were just completely falling off. From 18 games over 500 to eventually under 500.
And looking back at that now, the whole thing was not blown out of proportion. I think that was a legitimate frustration from what did I say?
Yeah, no, you're right. It was like it wasn't blown out of proportion. It was actually within proportion.
Yeah, it was a legitimate thing that I know that they talked about it after, like the next day at home, and Manny kind of stepped in and is like, everything's fine. Yeah, everything was not fine with that team.
I still, it's funny you say that, not just that team. For a moment, can we discuss like the Tatis-Manny relationship, which I think is a fine one. I think it's probably even a good one, but it's not Toddy Profar.
It's not
Toddy Merrill.
No.
Don't you see? Like, I see it. And where I see it is I'm watching Marty on YouTube, or I'm watching Padres.tv after games. And I'm seeing these interviews. And there's just something about the way Tatis speaks on Jurickson Profar or Jackson Merrill, maybe others, than the way he speaks on Manny. That's not too far, is it? Like, it just feels, I'm not saying they have a bad relationship. I'm just saying it's not this unbelievable Profar Tatis relationship. That's what it seems like.
No, I agree.
And
it's, if they keep winning here, you know what the conversation is going to turn to?
No, I don't.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, Tatis. They win without Tatis.
Wins without Tatis.
I hadn't necessarily thought about it, but that's fair.
2021, 2023, and then compared to 2022, and then now without Tatis for a prolonged period of time. Interesting. I think it's more of like coincidence than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's not something. If the team that we're watching right now continues to play good baseball until Tatis is cleared to come back.
It's interesting because if you would have told me that in 2020 when he was like an MVP candidate and then he had a 2 home run game in the postseason, I know it was 2020, but against St. Louis had a 2 home run game.
Him and Will Myers, first since Babe Ruth and like Lou Gehrig.
Yeah, and he's a 20-year-old player.
Yeah.
And they had these big time wins. After losing game 1, they're down in game 2. Backs are against the wall, and then the bullpen game in game 3. I mean, Fernando Tatis Jr. was clutch, and he was young, and he was a star. And from that moment to today, you're right. I mean, I don't know if it's a coincidence or if there's any correlation, but they haven't necessarily needed him to win. And having him hasn't resulted in winning, which happens. Trout doesn't always result in winning. Ohtani hasn't always resulted in winning. But I do think it's fair. I think there's something there. The Tatis is going to have to win when he's on the field. That's another thing he hasn't really done. 2020 is like, we don't really count it. We kind of discount it.
Yeah, he's not a winner yet. He hasn't proven it on the big stages and come through in the big moments. And 2020 is so difficult because of how the circumstances were. So it is interesting. Like, it's something to monitor. Like, if this team continues to play well without Tatis, you're like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
A little weird about that, but regardless, I don't care if it's with Tatis or without Tatis. I care more about the team playing well than I care about, like, they should just not bring Tatis back because they're better without him. I don't care. I just want the team to win.
Right. And the interesting thing is actually a lot of people thought that of all the injuries, and again, starting pitching is massive in 2021, But a lot of people said in the moment, Tatis was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a while. It could be 6 weeks. It could be post All-Star break. It could be longer than that. I was like, oh my God, Fernando Tatis Jr., that's the straw that could break the camel's back. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. It played well in the month of June. That's short sample size, but no, it hasn't yet been the straw that breaks the camel's back. And it wasn't the straw that broke the 2022 team. So hopefully it's not something that impacts the 2024 team either. And hopefully they get him back, by the way. Hopefully it isn't something that, is a 60, 90-day whatever injury.
Because they'll need him.
Yeah, exactly.
Seemingly,
yeah.
If this team just decides, we're going to be a better team without Tatis, it's great. Love it. I don't care. They still need him. They're going to take a guy that could at any moment hit 500 feet.
By the way, so All-Star voting, we've talked about Profar this remarkable season. There are others that have had great fan votes to this point to be at the top of their positions. Like Toddy was up there and Arise has been up there. But now we're in this like phase 2, Jim, of voting, which I think means it starts over. Why are we starting over? Profar had the clear lead. We don't need to necessarily start over, but they're starting over. So I actually remember earlier, I'm like, it's a formality. Profar is definitely going to start in the All-Star break. They've started over. There's 6 outfielders starting at 0, and I guess 3 of these outfielders are going to start in the All-Star game. And now it's still a very good chance of Profar. He was number 1 in fan voting. He's having this great year, but it isn't a guarantee. I actually thought, he's got all these votes. He's had this great season. It's a guarantee, but now we start over. There's this phase 2 of voting. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
but I understand it.
Yeah,
because they don't want to continue to have like
someone run away. There's no reason to vote.
Or not even that, just other players taking votes away. They want to like kind of narrow this thing down. So you only get to choose from 6 dudes.
Got you.
Instead of having to choose from everybody in baseball.
Yeah.
So I get that. Who did they release
They did.
Okay.
To narrow down. It was actually yesterday. It's the Teoscar Hernandez's and the Jerkson Profars and it's not
on that list.
I think he was, Jim. I think he was one of the 6, although I don't have it in front of me. Like second base. Like second base, for example, is Marte and Arise.
Yeah, that's
so
makes sense. Yeah.
And now it's like a head-to-head, like a vote off to see who starts in the All-Star game.
Right.
As opposed to just continuing the vote.
Because what they're doing is they're still want to keep the fans in it.
Yeah.
Because if you see one of your players has like a $2 million vote lead.
Yeah, like why even vote?
Vote. This puts more incentive on also the teams to continue to push their narrative and their tweets about, hey, vote for our guys. We're in the final phase. Let's go push it.
Right.
Because remember a couple years ago, maybe longer than that, they'd always do like the final fan vote. They had like 2 players.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, like the vote off or whatever.
Yeah, like who these guys have an opportunity.
The last 2 players.
Yeah,
the
last 2 guys, and then they would like do this massive push, right? I don't think they do that anymore, but they do also have like the honorary player, right? They did it with Pujols and Cabrera.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, All-Star finalists right now. Okay, let me just give you an example. In the National League, you have Marte against Arise. Okay. And then how about this at third base? I didn't realize this, Jim. It's Machado against Bohm.
You know who said Machado should be an All-Star this year?
Who?
Ken Rosenthal. Ken Rosenthal.
Interesting.
I probably should have. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Ken right now.
No, there's no audio.
Okay.
It's just my All-Stars, and he wrote a piece about it.
Okay.
He has Profar and Suarez and Manny as his 3 Padres All-Stars.
Was the reasoning on Manny? Again, Manny's been much better here recently. He's been dealing with injury. He's coming back to playing in the field basically every day. But I don't think the numbers warrant an All-Star game appearance at this point. Actually, I know they don't at this point.
All right, so let me just pull this up here.
Yeah.
All right. No, stop. Why? Can you pull it up? My phone's being stupid.
What am I pulling up?
Ken
Rosenthal?
No. Yeah, Ken Rosenthal. He has a. That's my password.
Don't get a new phone.
Don't get a new phone because they have to do all of your passwords, and I can't do it right now because we're on the radio.
Great.
Anyway,
that's good. That was good.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was very good. Well, I will say this. You asked if Fernando Tatis Jr. was a finalist. He is. So the 6 outfielders are Profar, Christian Yelich, Teoscar Hernandez, Fernando Tatis Jr., Brandon Marsh, Nick Castellanos. So 3 of those guys start. Yeah, interesting. Machado, though. I mean, he could be voted as a starter still.
I know.
Coming off wherever he was 3 weeks ago with his 600 OPS, to now he could start the All-Star game for the National League.
You're like,
I didn't realize that.
I don't know about that.
So you could still have a Rise, Machado, Profar, and Tatis start. Now Tatis isn't starting.
No.
But voted in as starter.
Rise could be there. All right. I got it up here. I got
Okay.
this. All right. In the National League, okay, he has right now only one pitcher from the Padres, which is Robert Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
He also has Paul Skeens
in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Then if you're looking at position players here, he does not have a Rise. He does have Manny Machado.
Interesting. Does he give an explanation or no?
Not really.
Okay.
Outfielders, he has Teoscar Hernandez, Jerkson Profar, Christian Yelich, and Brian Reynolds. He says notable admissions, one of them.
Yeah. Make it as an alternate, couldn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of injuries and people like kind of not playing the game, placements and everything like that. But here's what he said about Manny.
Okay.
He said, "Oh boy, lots to explain here. Brewers fans will reasonably ask why Machado over Ortiz. Well, he's Manny Machado. His early struggles might have been attributed to his recovery from right elbow surgery, and he has been hot in June." Okay, so
there's the reason.
That's the reasoning. Okay,
I mean it's true. He's got a hit today. They're trailing 1-0 in the 5th inning, but he has another hit today. I mean, he has absolutely been much better. I mean, it was a really slow start. I think if you looked at the numbers at the All-Star game, you might say, well, his numbers are a little off, but it's not like terribly off from where he was last year, and he could still lift it over the next couple of weeks. I guess what's interesting is we might look up at the All-Star game and see a lot of Padres at the end of the day.
I still think no more than 3.
No more than 3? Okay, well, now that Tatis is out.
Suarez and Profar are locks. Agree?
Yeah, Arise will be on the team, even as an alternate, probably.
I think so.
Yeah, so there's 3. I mean, Waldron could be on the team, potentially. Right?
Is Kyle Higashioka the greatest catcher in Padres history besides Benito Santiago?
Did he just homer again?
I just want to ask that question real quick. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Runner.
He is on such a ridiculous tear. I mean, he's on a ridiculous tear. Like, you talk, oh, you're going to lose Campy. Oh, you lost your starting catcher. No, Kyle Higashioka is your starting catcher. The guy homers every at bat. That's unbelievable. Padres now have turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead. Again, they just find ways. And by the way, any breaking pitch he will crush. And that's what he crushed. Breaking pitch over the middle of the plate and over the Green Monster by a mile.
Well, he knows the Green Monster pretty well because he was there for his time in New York with the Yankees a lot.
Dude, guy's unbelievable, Jim.
Sign him to a lifetime contract extension. I'm fine with that.
Is he like lead baseball in like homers per at bat? It's got to be close. Yeah, he's got the second highest slugging percentage in baseball since June 1st.
822 slugging percentage
behind Aaron Judge.
Oh, no big deal. Just, Padres are just in Boston hitting homers left and right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that was a foul ball.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, I remember the beginning of the year when
actually a double.
Not the beginning of the year, but last year in November when the Yankees made that trade, I asked somebody who has ties to the Yankees, like, what's the breakdown here? Like, what do you got? And he specifically said, yeah, Higgy, not a great hitting catcher, but he will have a stretch of games where he'll hit you like 10 home runs. I'm like, okay,
like, what?
I don't know if I believe
beyond
that.
a stretch. This is like, well, I guess it is a stretch, but this is the only time he's gotten like consistent, like ABs.
This is a stretch. This is a good.
It's kind of like a long stretch.
I know. Well, if he continues like the next month or so, then this is more than a stretch. I agree.
It's just ridiculous, his power. Like, what? How is a backup catcher on the Padres like the number one like hitter in baseball from a slugging percentage perspective? That's unbelievable. So hopefully that continues again. This team is flat out different. That's all I have to say about it. I spent all of 2023 what's wrong with them, and now I'm spending 2024 what's right with them, and I can't put my finger on it. It's just things. It's Kyle Higashioka. It's whatever. It's just they're finding ways. That's all I'll say about it.
It was pretty early on. We said that.
Yeah, we're like, there's something wrong, something off.
And then they decided to have a lot of tendencies like last year's team. We're like, okay, maybe we were wrong. Maybe they aren't different. Maybe they're the same.
Like you said over the last couple of weeks, like there's something that is like beloved, or there's something about teams that are like overcoming things that make them more admirable, or that's not the word, remarkable, or easier to root for.
Mhm.
Dude, I mean, this is fun. This is flat out fun to watch. If you've been watching the Padres over the last couple of weeks with how they're dealing with injuries and just flat out winning and playing with confidence, it's been fun. We haven't had that joy and enthusiasm around this team. There's always something, but I can deal with something if they're winning. And all they're doing right now is winning. That's just flat out enjoyable.
When you have a team of underdogs, when you have a team of like not the highest paid players and rookies and guys on 1 year's deals, and I mean, Kyle Higashioka is not the first name you think of when you think of like power hitters in baseball.
Most people don't know who he is, and he's slugging
every
night.
Everybody knows Juan Soto, Snell, Josh Hader, Aaron Judge, like
Shohei Ohtani. Yeah,
players from last year.
Oh gosh, yeah. I thought you were saying like just. I'm just a household. Who would ever think this? That's a baseball fan.
I mean, Jackson Merrill's not a household name.
No,
Here in
he's
San
not.
Diego is not national. Yep, he's not a household name at all. Wade is not a household name. Jerson Profar is not a household name. Truthfully, Luis Rise isn't a household name. So if you're a hardcore baseball fan, you know.
Right.
Randy Vasquez isn't a household name. Suarez isn't a household name. And they're getting it done. They're overcoming injuries as of right now. And those are the types of teams that fans fall in love with. And those are the types of teams that are endearing to a fan base. It's great when the super team wins. And don't get me wrong, I would love that. But it didn't happen.
Right.
And with that, they became martyrs. This team, so far, they keep winning.
I think they're winning people.
You know? I mean, how can you not love Jerkson Profar? How could you not love what Kyle Higashioka is doing right now?
Right.
I mean, if you find me somebody that's upset with those two guys I just named,
not Padres fans.
Yeah, you're not Padres fans.
Right.
Because those two players and Jackson Merrill, what he's doing this year, just the more that this team wins with guys that are underdogs performing and being in the middle of the action and contributing in big ways, the more lovable this team is going to be.
All right. On the other side, updates from Fenway Park where the Padres and Red Sox are underway in their series. We have Jim's backstage still ahead as well. We're with you until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim. All right, updates from Fenway Park on the other side, plus Jim's back page.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Petrell Real Estate Team. Update in Boston. Padres have a 4-1 lead now over the Red Sox, top of the fifth inning, thanks to a 2-run single by Jake Cronenworth and a 2-run homer by Kyle Higashioka. Padres are up 4-1 in that game. In NBA news, Keyshawn Johnson, he signed a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, as Jim just said, the Padres have opened up a lead in Boston with another, believe it or not, big inning. This was a team that I saw a short we did last year, Jim, just randomly on YouTube or social media. We're like, it was like 40 games into the year. I'm like, they haven't had an inning with more than 3 runs. It was 40 games into the year, and they had not had an inning with more than 3 runs. And this year, all they do is have 4-run innings, including here tonight. They lead 4-1. They're threatening for more. They've scored all 4 of these runs in the 5th inning. It's uncanny how many big innings they have put together. It used to be with singles. Singles, walks, taking advantage of errors. That's just like home runs everywhere. Grand slams the last 2 games. Kyle Higashioka with a 2-run home run. They just put together big innings seemingly every night.
I gotta say this about Manny Machado. I remember the whole thing in New York, right?
Oh, not hustling.
And then the Monday following that, Schulte randomly bringing up Machado for hustling.
Yeah.
I seeing how he's played since that Monday in Philly.
We got through to him.
I truly think they sat down with him and they had a conversation.
Like, you got to run.
I think Schulte and I think they talked because
now he's running like a 4.40.
Ever since that moment, he has
right. This dude's hustling, man. He's getting out of that box quick.
But don't you think that there was something said?
It may have been.
I think so.
Yeah, there may have been.
Or maybe nothing was said, and Manny saw the reaction and was like, all right, enough said. I can't do that. But I do think there was a conversation had. By the way, 6-1 now, Padres, is Donovan Solano 2-run single up the middle. This freaking team.
How about not just 6 runs in an inning without an out being recorded? This team, we said it this week. We started the week by saying they have an it factor. I don't know what it is. They just have it. They just do. This isn't some miserable Boston team. It's not. Nick Pivetta, their starter today, has been very good. They've been scorching hot. Boston.
They're a good team.
Coming in, scorching hot.
They're
Padres
good.
don't care.
Padres are good.
Yes.
Donnie Barrels.
Donnie Barrels, thank you.
The Padres are good. And that was something that we were kind of going back and forth with for better part of the first half of the season. And it was like, are they good? I don't know. What are they? Like, we had a lot of those questions.
Yeah, we did.
Are they good? Are they not? No, they're good.
No, we're on board, man.
They're good. They're a good baseball team. And they're not going to.
Oh, Jackson Merrill 3-run home run. A 9-run inning without an out being recorded is incredible. Incredible.
Wow. They're a good baseball team. And they are hot. They are officially red hot now. I'm kind of speechless because this is really fun to watch. This is a really fun time to be a Padres fan for the season. And hopefully they ride this streak
not just
for a long time.
But again, we talked about the other day, like in Padres history, you're kind of, again, they're drawing at the box office. They're marketable and they're winning games. You can't say that a lot in the history of the franchise. They're drawing at the box office, they're marketable, and they're winning games. Like all the stars are aligning right now. You're not just like Will Fleming, who we had on earlier, Red Sox play-by-play. Is like, you know what? You get a little complacent when you're a veteran-only team. You need some young blood. You need the Jackson Merrills. And Jackson Merrill has come from a big way. To the point where he's like a legitimate NL Rookie of the Year candidate.
Legitimate?
Well, he's not Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, but he's a legitimate NL Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't think he's a favorite.
He's up there, and now the question will become, hey, Jackson Merrill is an all-star?
I know. I agree with that.
And you know what the best part about this is right now? To get attention to be the Rookie of the Year and get attention to be on the all-star team, you need to do these things on nationally televised games. He did it during the Fox nationally televised games against the Brewers on that Saturday. He's doing it now on Apple TV Plus.
Hey, does this count?
Yeah.
Who's watching this? Me and you on this random monitor.
Well, they're going to they present it as a standalone big time game, right?
Yeah, no, they do. They do. And the presentation is great. No, the baseball fans are watching. You're right. I mean, it's against the Red Sox. There's a lot of people obviously watching.
Padres are good. Jackson Merrill's very good. I think that this team is doing things that we all think we could do this year. Maybe it just took 75 games for them to get there.
Maybe. I didn't realize this. We had Darnay Tripp on earlier this week. Maybe it was yesterday. I forget. And he tweeted, lifelong Red Sox fan Jackson Merrill goes yard in his very first game at Fenway Park. Storybook stuff. I didn't realize that. Jackson Merrill from the Mid-Atlantic, from Maryland, growing up, apparently a Red Sox fan, returning, right? Playing against his favorite team as a kid. He's not far removed from being a kid. He was 20 to start the year. He's now 21. And he homers at Fenway, 3-run shot. And this is a storybook inning. There's not a lot of 9-run innings.
No,
there's just
there's
not. You go a season or 2 or 3 without them. They've had a couple this year, haven't they? Did they have a Kansas City inning like this? With all the singles, the 11 singles or something?
Yeah. That was the inning. They had the
11 singles.
It was like single, double, single.
This is homer. The new Padres homer every at bat. Right? I mean, they're hitting for power. They're hitting for power. So it's enjoyable. It's fun. And it's a fun time to be a Padres fan, despite. Forget for a moment about Darvish, Musgrove, Toddy, Bogey. Just enjoy Saturday night, even if it's Friday. You know, enjoy your weekend. Worry about work on Monday. Enjoy your weekend because it's a fun time right now. Is it impactful in the long run? Yeah, maybe. Probably, I'm sure. But who cares? They score 9 runs. They beat good teams, and they win. So enjoy the weekend, is what I would say.
They're a team that it feels like they're rolling. They're getting a feel for playing good baseball, and they're continuing to do that now on the road, it feels like. If they can finish this game off, have a good series, take 2 out of 3, take it to Texas. I mean, shoot. Let's talk best case scenario. 5-1.
Never lose again.
That is that too. 5-1 on this trip. Then they're 7 over, then they come home, take on Seattle, Arizona, and Atlanta.
Right, then you don't even have to worry about after the All-Star break. You're just putting yourself in a good position. That's what you're doing.
And to think on that Wednesday afternoon in Philadelphia, staring on the barrel of a 6-game
losing
streak,
4 games under 500.
4 games under 500, going over on the road trip, and Matt Waldron stepped to the mound against Ranger Suarez, by the way, who is the best pitcher, still is, I think, the best pitcher in the National League right now. He shoved. They beat a lefty. They came home. They had the walk-off win, and then now we're here in Boston where you're like, who are these guys?
Marty Caswell, who was there, right? With San Diego Sports 760, saying Jackson Merrill's parents, who grew up Red Sox fans, were at Fenway and got to watch their son blow this game wide open in the 5th inning. So, again, a 9-run inning for the Padres. They trailed this game into the 5th inning. They hadn't scored. It was 1-0 Boston when this inning began, and they scored 9 without an out being recorded, right? All 9 runs had scored without an out being recorded. That is incredible. Incredible. I mean, one of the bigger innings in recent memory.
Just keep riding this wave of momentum, Padres. Just have a good road trip and finish off this first half on a massive, strong note, because it will just bode well for them starting the second half with that 9-game daunting trip through Baltimore, Cleveland, and Washington.
It's going to be daunting for their opponents if they keep playing like this.
That too. Everyone's like, "Oh crap, the Padres are coming down."
We're scorching hot right now. All right, we'll keep you updated. Padres well on their way. Remember, they blew out the Nationals the other day. They led that game 8-0. They're leading the Red Sox right now 9-1 at Fenway, halfway home. We have Jim's back page on the other side. We're with you until 6 p.m. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, we have an injury situation at Fenway to share with you, plus Jim's back page next. There's always something. After a 9-run Padres inning, Randy Vasquez, who had been pitching beautifully and starting tonight for San Diego, took a 98-mile-per-hour line drive off his throwing arm.
Dude, he was like, I feel awful because he was like crying as he left the field.
He went down and was holding his arm. This is the area between the elbow and the wrist.
Ugh.
So he got hit like that meaty area between the elbow and the wrist. And it looked like he really wanted to stay in the game, but he was visibly in pain. And they basically had to force him off the mound. And like you said, he was visibly shaken because it appeared as if he wanted to stay in the game. But you can't risk that.
Dude.
With a 9-1 lead, you got to worry about his health. So another concern from an injury perspective. No concern in terms of how they're playing.
No, but you're not going to get the win now.
No, he's not. But there's bigger concerns. Does Randy Vasquez? Does he need the win?
He doesn't need the win.
He doesn't need it.
At the same time, like he was pitching really well in this game,
very well.
And to start a road trip, what inning is it?
Fifth.
Okay, not the worst thing in the world to go 4 1/3 or 4.
Yeah, 4+.
Yeah, but like one long-term health now, it's a question mark because that hit him right on the arm.
Oh yeah,
and two, you're now going to have to use your bullpen a little bit here for the first game of a road trip. Hopefully that you have such a big lead. You don't have to use your top guys.
I agree.
Hopefully Stephen Kolek, whoever's in there right now, can,
give you a couple innings,
give you 2 or 3 innings here and not get the Red Sox back in the game. But, oh, God, that's just.
No, you're right. He pitched really well in this game, had allowed just a run in 4 innings. And you're cruising at that point to a win. You're right. I mean, you're thinking 5 innings, you're thinking 6 innings, whatever. You've got an 8-run lead. There's always adversity, and they really have overcome it. And this is a part of it. Injuries are a part of it. What can you do? He could do nothing. Line drive right back to him. So they'll actually go to Wandy Peralta in the spot. He's got unlimited time to warm up. Padres, with a win tonight, again, well on their way, would be 8-1 in their last 9 games. And we have said all year, just go on a 9-1 stretch, go on a 10-2 stretch, something like that, and you'll put yourself in a good. And here they are. They've done it.
They're in the midst of a. Oh, sorry, the replay.
That was earlier.
They're in the midst of a 10-game stretch where you're potentially going to be 8-2, 9-1.
Yeah, exactly. You want to do a back page?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it.
EA Sports College Football 25, John, has released the top 25 teams ratings this year for the game. Can you guess the top 10?
Teams overall.
Overall, top 10 best teams in the game.
Yes, I can. Ohio State University, number 1.
Ding. They are 93 overall. Tier 1, I guess, was what they're calling it.
Okay. Do you want me to give you the second team?
Georgia.
That's what I was going to say.
Ding. They are the number 1 team, 95 overall.
Do you want me to give you the third team?
Alabama.
Ding. They're number 4 overall. 93.
Hold on.
You have 3 of the top 4.
Florida State.
No.
Wrong. I like how we're doing like a
Oregon, number 3. Thank you.
Ding. You are right about that. They're 93 overall.
Yeah. And then what are we looking for? Number 5?
Number 5. Yeah.
I would assume SEC or Big Ten here. There's no way they're putting Michigan at number 5.
And Michigan's at 11.
Okay. So somewhere we're missing in the SEC outside of Georgia, Alabama. That's really, really good.
You're missing 2 SEC teams.
We're missing 2 SEC teams in the top 10.
You're missing, 2 SEC teams.
One Texas A&M.
Not Texas A&M.
Texas.
The other.
That's a great call. Yeah,
the new SEC team, Texas.
Okay, who else is in the top 10?
Clemson's number 6.
Okay.
Notre Dame is number 7. LSU is number 8. Penn State is number 9. Utah is number 10.
Big 12 Utah. That's a good list right there. Okay. I like that
so
list.
Of the top 25 schools based on the EA team ratings,
any group of 5 teams?
13 fall into a tier 1 category with 10 in tier 2, 2 teams in tier 3, and no teams in tier 4. I'm not quite sure.
Do you see the top 25? Like
Aztecs are tier 2.
Okay. Let me check here. You got Michigan 11, Florida State 12, Miami 13, Texas A&M 14, Ole Miss, Colorado, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, USC, Virginia Tech, NC State, Kansas, Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Iowa.
So all power programs in their top 25. What'll actually happen in the year is that's not going to be accurate. There'll be group of 5 programs that are really good.
Yeah.
Whatever. Liberties, App States, San Diego State, Boise State, whomever.
Yeah. So I guess last month, CLLCT exclusively learned how much each FBS school was being paid for its involvement in the game. The 134 FBS schools were broken down into a 4-tier system based on the final AP poll results from the previous 10 seasons. When a team finished the year in the top 25, it received 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 1, 6 to 10 points, $99,000. Tier 2, 2 to 5 points, $59,000. Tier 3, 1 point, $39,000. And tier 4, 0 points, you get $9,000 as a school.
And SDSU was tier 2.
So the San Diego State got $59,925.
And other tier 2 teams, I don't have the list in front of me. Maybe you do. We're like there was like Virginia Tech and Tennessee.
Yeah.
So that's
it's good.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's great. It's
$100,000.
Yeah, for being in the game too.
Yeah. The most popular fast food chicken sandwiches in America are revealed, John.
Chick-fil-A.
Popeyes.
I'm thinking Chick-fil-A.
I think I like Chick-fil-A's better, but I'm thinking it's Popeyes.
Okay.
So plucky researchers at
I get it.
Coop and Bird consulted 2,000 Americans to learn more about their preference on chicken sandwiches from restaurants, fast food places. It turns out 53% voted Chick-fil-A as the number 1 favorite nation's favorite chicken sandwich restaurant. So you also had Popeye's chicken in there. You also had KFC that came in at number 3. But the top 3 are Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, and KFC as far as the top chicken sandwich restaurants in the country.
What about Burger King?
They got a good chicken sandwich, actually.
Thank you.
McDonald's is a good chicken sandwich, kind of.
What else you got?
Does not match Chick-fil-A. Sorry, John. Only 2 today.
Only 2 out of time.
It's a Friday.
There's no time for more.
No.
There'll be time on Monday, though. I promise you that. We are back. I think there will be time.
Hopefully we're back.
So Monday to kick off July 4th week here on San Diego Sports 760. If you missed anything today, conversations with Will Fleming with the Red Sox, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, Paul Garrison. Go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. Please leave a review if you're listening to the podcast as well. Find us on social at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. Have a great weekend for Brent and Jim. I'm John. Keep it here to San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, bye.